Devil May Cry is a brand new anime by self-proclaimed visionary Adi Shankar. This visionary, I believe, is most well known for his Castlevania series, which I've heard is actually fairly good, but I have nothing to back that claim up with, so don't take it too seriously. Leading up to the show's release, I was actually fairly hyped, Devil May Cry content in the big old 2025. But then a few days before release, almost all of my hope was lost when they released part of the song list. This song list had what you would expect, lots of rock, lots of metal, licensed songs, whatever. That's not important. What is important are the two songs from the actual Devil May Cry series. The first was Bury the Light, which is widely regarded as one of the best songs in any video game ever, and for good reason. I can understand why they would want to use this song. That's not the main issue here. The issue is with the second song, Devil Trigger. Devil Trigger is a song from Devil May Cry 5 for the main protagonist, Nero. As such, it was written with the full intent to fit his character. It represents his inner conflict in this game and the previous game, how he comes to terms with his demonic power and how to use it to protect those that he loves the most, and if that means he becomes a demon himself, then so be it. It perfectly captures how far his character has come and how far he still has to go in this game. Adamant watchers of the anime will notice that it doesn't actually follow Nero. No, it follows the series' regular protagonist, Dante. So they have Nero's theme in a show that follows Dante. So when would they use Nero's theme? Well, when Dante activates his Devil Trigger, of course. Because the song is called Devil Trigger, and he's using his Devil Trigger. Doesn't that fit perfectly? Let's just disregard how the song was written for a completely different character undergoing completely different circumstances than Dante. This single decision to include the song killed any hype I had for the show because it was clear going into it that Nero wouldn't be present. So when else would they have used it? This is the equivalent of that scene in Shrek the Third where the Frog King dies and then they start playing Live and Let Die despite it not fitting the scene at all. The writers saw that this song has the word die in it and thought it would fit perfectly in the scene where the Frog King dies. This is exactly the same thing that happened here. They saw a popular song called Devil Trigger and thought, wait, Dante activates his Devil Trigger. This song would fit that scene perfectly. This singular decision just screams to me that Mr. Shankar's understanding of this world is from Reddit memes and hype moment compilations he saw on YouTube. This extends to Virgil's entire existence in the season, which is literally just the very ending. It feels very disingenuous to have Virgil teased in trailers only for him to exist for a single conversation with the White Rabbit, and then at the very end as a cliffhanger. There's an entire scene where the plasma demon guy disguises himself as Virgil, and I'm thoroughly convinced the scene only exists so they could put it in the marketing to build fake hype. Based on their usage of Devil Trigger, it got my friend and I thinking that Virgil would show up when there was a storm, and then he would be like, "Oh, I am the storm that is approaching." These were very shallow jokes based on almost nothing. So imagine my surprise when that is exactly how Virgil's reveal went down. You want to give Dante corny lines like this? Go ahead, that's kind of his shtick. But having Virgil call himself the storm that is approaching just further enforces the thought that Mr. Shankar's understanding of the series is from Reddit memes. It also starts playing Bury the Light here, which, at the very least, compared to Devil Trigger, it's the theme of the actual character they're playing this time. But this song is so specifically written and tailor-made to the character that Virgil is in Devil May Cry 5, it just wouldn't work if you used it on a version of Virgil from a past game. So it absolutely doesn't work here on a version of Virgil, who is not only from the past, but also radically different. Or at least I assume, because we only saw him for 2 seconds. So with Virgil's 1 minute of screen time being the worst thing ever, how did the other characters fare? I mean, could be worse. Dante's the least offensive here, but he's also pretty boring. I think they nailed his personality and mannerisms pretty well. The problem is he just doesn't have a ton of personal stakes in the plot until literally the final moment of the final fight, which I'll get into in a moment. In this show, he doesn't even know he's part demon or the son of Sparta. I really don't know why, because that realization about his past opens up nothing new for the character. He's overall fine. It's more so the plot around him is just not catered to create an interesting avenue for his character to go. Lady comes a lot closer to having an arc than Dante, but still somehow ruins it. They changed her backstory a bit, despite claims that this was the exact opposite. I guess the main idea is still there, that her dad was obsessed with claiming demonic power for himself and it eventually drove him mad, but the way this affects her is completely different. Now she lives a life dedicated purely to killing any and all demons. Her view is challenged later when she runs into demons that help her survive, and she makes an effort to save them in return. Her commander overrules that order with his own order to kill all of the nice demons anyway. This perfectly sets up an arc for Lady to disobey her commander in the finale, but not only does she fail to do that, she still continues to obey his orders from the start of the show and betrays Dante by turning him in. Yes, all of this build-up, having her entire view on demons changed and fighting alongside someone who's part demon himself, she still listens to her commander and doesn't stand up for herself. You can make the argument that this is being set up for the next season, but literally all of the pieces needed are already here. They could have just finished her arc off nicely and had her face different struggles going forward. But no, she's probably going to go through the same inner conflict next season as well. They were close. They had it. It was right there. And then they just didn't follow through. I also want to add that Lady is written by Viv Z Pop. The show has a decent bit of swearing, but I promise you at least 90% of the swearing is from Lady. She has some moments where she's swearing almost every single sentence. It's so annoying. As for the other characters, they certainly exist. Baines I found to be decently interesting with his deep-rooted faith, even towards Dante and claiming that he can use his demonic powers for good. Unfortunately, my opinion of him plummeted when it turned out his end purpose was just to be the most bare-bones commentary for America I've ever seen. Guys, look, the American flag is hung high while they attack the demon world. Guys, it's playing American Idiot by Green Day while they kill war refugees. Look everyone, they're stealing the oil. Do you think this could potentially be commentary on America? At least Kevin Conroy gives a great performance, rest his soul. I think I would have really liked him if he stayed as this delusional commander who thinks he's doing God's work, but the writers saw this concept and thought, how can I make this about America? Other than him, I found Enzo to be pretty fun. A low-life scumbag who's chummy with Dante, but their friendship is oddly pretty fun. Enzo's sacrifice in the end actually made me feel something. Like damn, he really was willing to take a blade for him. The other demons kinda just existed, Agni, Rudra, Echidna, Plasma, whatever. But none of this matters because there's not a single character who even comes close to the main antagonist, the White Rabbit. We learn about his backstory in episode 6, which is easily the best episode of the whole show. It has a unique style to contrast the human and demon worlds, as well as just being really compelling the whole way through. The White Rabbit was just a boy who accidentally found himself a home and family in hell. As he grew, he made a device to enhance the natural risk caused between the two worlds, so he could help everyone who was affected by the war in hell. However, Lady ambushes him during a rescue mission, and he ends up being the only survivor. It drives him a little bit crazy as his plan evolves from simply helping friendly demons to infiltrating Lady's team and absolutely obliterating it, compelling him to experiment on those he saved. He's eventually driven so mad with a desire to finish his job that he pretty much becomes a demon himself. He's charismatic, he's interesting, he's menacing. I absolutely loved him throughout the whole show, and is the one aspect of it that I don't have anything negative to say about. However, while I love him and his conflict of saving the friendly demons, this entire plotline could not be more out of place in a show like this, and it makes it so much worse than it could have been. To orchestrate my point, let's take a look at Sparta. His backstory is almost unchanged from the games. He rebelled against Mundus and separated the two worlds. However, much more emphasis is placed on how this act of rebellion was Sparta overcoming his nature as a demon. Demons, as we've understood from the games, are pure evil with no remorse. They are inherently rotten at their core. This is why Sparta rebelling is so impactful, because he literally overcame his very nature as a demon to do what was right. But now look at the show. While a lot of demons are still evil, a lot are also good. And they just want to live a peaceful life outside of hell. So there's just naturally good demons now? Alright, so demons aren't all inherently evil. There's no dark nature that they all share. If demons can just decide to be good like this, then that takes away, all of the impact from Sparta's rebellion. It means Sparta wasn't actually overcoming his natural evil desires as a demon and fundamentally changing who and what he was. He was just a good demon like any of the other ones, deciding to do a good thing. That's so lame, man. Honestly, it makes Sparta kind of an asshole for separating the two worlds while all these nice demons are just stuck in hell now. That's a good look for the savior of the franchise. This conflict of sympathetic demons doesn't even tie into Dante at all. Dante only learns about his demon side halfway through the show, and as we know from good demons existing, demons aren't inherently evil. This removes any potential conflict Dante could have concerning his demon side. When he activates his devil trigger, Dante comments on how he felt rage and hate that the demons always feel. But as we know, demons aren't all evil, so Dante has no reason to fear becoming evil or giving into his rage or losing his identity or anything. Demons themselves are not problematic, and so Dante being one is also not problematic. And when he learns this information, he doesn't change at all. The sympathetic demon plot ties more into Lady if anything. But again, she will still obey orders given to her even if she disagrees with them, so this conflict seemingly taught her nothing. I'm gonna end this off by saying that this conflict and many other things only work if you either change literally everything about the series or just drop it and don't change anything at all. You can't just throw this conflict in here and still have Sparta's rebellion act as this amazing heroic act that defies demon logic. You can't just introduce this plot and try to give Dante the most vague sense of character development I've ever seen. Dante, Lady, and Virgil all relate to the themes of the game and are all equally important because of it. Dante does not relate to the themes being told or the conflict at hand here, and because of this, he feels more like a side character in his own show. Lady not only probably gets more screen time, but she gets way more important W's than Dante does, and she even somehow wins in a fight that they have, despite Dante having superhuman strength and speed to the point where he can dodge bullets on reaction up to about 20 feet away. That makes perfect sense. There's a lot of small things they changed from the game that they just didn't need to. In the game, Dante calls Lady, Lady, because he asks her what her name is, and she doesn't tell him.
Tell me, what's your name?
I don't have a name.
Okay, then what should I call you?
I don't care, whatever you want.
Whatever, lady.
Here, he just calls her Lady because he doesn't know her name. In the game, Lady's name plays into the themes regarding family identity and acceptance. Here, they just recognize that it's her name in the games and came up with the worst excuse ever for Dante to call her it. I could go on for a while about this, but I'm gonna end this here before it turns into even more of a mindless rant than it already is. I'll leave it at this. The show has a lot of interesting ideas and themes it touches on, but those ideas and themes fundamentally don't work in this world unless you change literally everything about it. The characters range from mostly okay to bad. White Rabbit is so much insanely better than everything else in the show, but as I mentioned before, he just isn't suited for this world. I didn't hate watching the show in the moment, so I'll give it a big old 4 out of 10. For effort. Might officially drop it to a 3 if I think about it too much, though. White Rabbit carries. If I start thinking about this show too much, I might just turn into an actual video instead of whatever the hell this was.